So Gaffer, we'll firstly start with the releasing of the retain list last week. Some tough decisions made, but for the good of the football club.
Yeah, it's always got to be for the benefit of Rotherham United. So some real tough decisions because some good footballers have left the building, but you know, with the preceding 12 months that the football club's had and results dictate everything, then it almost had to be a new beginning, a new start. I think the supporters almost demanded it, wanted it, needed it, as the chairman and everyone else around the football club did. So, but a lot of tough decisions because we've had to make tough decisions to be able to embrace a new beginning, really, for a huge challenge in League One.
And you speak about new beginnings. You've wasted no time in putting plans into place for next season. And the first signing through the door yesterday in a face that we all know in Jonson Clarke-Harris.
Yeah, of course. I brought Jono to Rotherham United many moons ago, of course, from Oldham. But we've watched his career progress in recent years from a distance with envy, because every football club he's turned up at Bristol Rovers and Peterborough United latterly he scored goals. But for me, it was going to be an interesting challenge because this is a kid that in the last few days of January, which is only a few months ago, the kid could have gone for over £800,000 to Charlton Athletic and over £1 million to Bristol Rovers. That's not made up figures, that's the actual guaranteed figures plus add-ons. So when that didn't happen, I always had an aspiration of working with Jonson again. You know, he's a true goal scorer. He's a nice kid. He wants to improve. He wants to learn. I sat down with the chairman and with Richard and the board and outlined some plans at the first week of being inside the football club and some clear and obvious targets. And equal at the top of that, amongst 2 or 3 other players, was Jonson Clarke-Harris, and we're delighted that he wanted to come, and he demonstrated that. He demonstrated that with his personal terms, and he demonstrated it with his commitment to travel and to be around this football club and to be around the training ground and wanted to be a big part of it, and that meant the world to all of us.
You obviously, having brought him in almost a decade ago, you've always been someone, as you mentioned, that has known his potential. He was a bit of a rough diamond when he first arrived, but does he arrive here now as sort of like the finished article, or is there much more improving to do?
Well, I think there's more improvement to come. I think we can help him on the training ground. But the one thing that Jonson Clarke-Harris has established, and I think, you know, there's some really gifted managers like, you know, Darren Ferguson and in particular Barry Fry, Darren McCanton at Peterborough said, if you feed Jonson Clarke-Harris, he scores goals. That's what it's about. I personally watched a playoff campaign recently against Oxford. I wanted Posh to win. I live in the city. I wanted them to win. I felt if Jonson had been introduced earlier, they may have been at Wembley at the weekend. But I don't make those decisions. That's for other people. I can only concentrate now on Jono going forward and what he brings to the Millers. I know one thing: if he gets an opportunity to score a goal, he will score a goal. You know, got an opportunity for the fans outside to be in love with him, and the kid needs that. He needs to be appreciated. He needs to be valued, and that'll be a brilliant two-way blossoming relationship I see happening from very early in the season.
I might be asking you to sort of state the obvious here, but what is it about Jonson Clarke-Harris that you particularly like?
Obviously, everyone likes his goals. I think you don't like them when he's against you, and he scored goals against my teams. He's a big character. He's strong. He can be assertive. I wouldn't say Jono's aggressive. He's assertive. There's not a centre-back in League One or the Championship that won't think, if they're playing against Jonson Clarke-Harris, does not think before the game, this boy's going to be a handful, because he is a handful. But he's got that lovely maturity about him now. When the game's finished, I can remember Pierre Gianni, my captain and centre-back at Stevenage, and him had a real battle on the pitch. But when the game finished, they would have a hug and embrace. And that's what Jonson brings. He brings that nice maturity, but he brings goals, he brings a sharpness, he brings a willingness, he brings a desire. And he's got a very infectious personality and smile, and he'll be tremendous in our dressing room, which is great for me too.
One thing that he was really insistent on when we spoke to him was his desire to play for you again. For you as a manager, how much does that mean to you that Jonson was really keen to come back to play under Steve Evans?
Yeah, from the first minute I picked the phone up with you. We've always kept in touch regardless, and I'd like to think I played a part in keeping him focused at Posh when he was not part of the process there going towards the end. And just from a distance, I'd keep him focused, and so did Darren. But anyway, I got the opportunity to pick up the phone when he'd come out of Posh, and he made it clear that he said many times to me, "I'd love to play for you again. I'd love to play for you again." And some players will say that and not really mean it. He demonstrated it. He travelled across to my house, you know, to chat to me. And we only spoke football. The personal bits is Rob Scott's business and the board's business and Jono's business. So I just had to make sure that he had the focus and what would be the word, the real vigour to do well for us. And he said he wanted to do it for himself. That's brilliant to hear. Whatever everyone says as a footballer, it's brilliant to hear. He wanted to do it for me, which is you've asked the question, which is humbling. And he wanted to do it. And he said to me on a number of occasions, unfinished business for the Millers. And I see he's remarked on it in his own press. So he's got unfinished business. He's going to have some competition for a starting shirt here. It's not just about Jonson ClarkeHarris. We're going to add to the group selectively. Their supporters are going to have a great summer. They're going to be so excited to look forward to the new season. And because, you know, they've had a difficult season, difficult year. It's not a year that those supporters, in my opinion, deserve. And as I said to you, if nothing else, as a minimum, we'll give them some great days. We want to give them great weeks and months.
It's a deal that's happened incredibly quickly, as we've already mentioned. That shows the excitement from both parties to get this over the line, doesn't it?
I think it demonstrates the power of Tony Stewart. It demonstrates the power of Richard Stewart. It demonstrates the power of the football club. It demonstrates to me, I know for a fact, it wasn't about how much Jonson earned versus what he could get somewhere else, because we went top of that league. But when you took the whole package together, we were top of the league. We're talking about a player who felt he had lots to bring to Rotherham United. The stadium, this ball in the middle of the town, sells itself as well. He'd been here, he'd an infection. No one will ever forget his goal against Leeds United here when he come on as a sub and scored a wonderful goal. So it came together quickly because there was a huge desire from the manager and from the player to make it happen. I think the representatives of Jono and Rob and Paul Douglas got that deal over the line fairly quickly because it matched the numbers that both were looking at.
You say that it's going to be an exciting summer for Millers fans. We know that yourself and the recruitment team and everyone involved, you're working incredibly hard at the moment in preparation for your transfer plans that are already well underway.
Oh, they're very, very much so. I've met more players than I've got fingers in my hands in the last 4 or 5 days. And that will continue. This ain't a process where we only have one preferred target. We have a number of preferred targets. The beautiful thing is I've been able to sit down with Rob Scott and go through all these in depth, go through it with Paul Rayner, have a real clear plan we want to go and present that to the powers to be at this football club, which is the board. Go and present that to like Paul Douglas, who has to do the commercials with Rob. And so really it's been a plan that we would think is ever evolving, because sometimes you get players saying no, and that can happen. It'll be ever evolving, but we have a real focus. We know how tough League One's going to be. You know, you look at the strength of the teams that's going to be in League One. I start with the Championship boys coming down. I start with, you know, the likes of Huddersfield and ourselves. It makes it really, really tough. I look at the teams that's left behind in League One who are not part of the process anymore, like Peterborough's and Barnsley's. I look at who might miss it in the final on Saturday. And I look at the teams in there. So I know how tough it's going to be. I've just been in it for a couple of years with Stevenage, so I know it's a real tough gig. I look at the teams coming up. I look at Wrexham's. I look at Mansfield's. I look at Stockport's. All strong, all really strong. So we need to be strong. We will be strong. Don't worry about that. Put the kettle on for being strong, but we just need a lot of good fortune going forward with our signings. Unbelievable backing from Tony Shaw. Unbelievable backing, and we're all working hard. Myself and Rob are working so hard to get all around the country and bring a plan together that ultimately is for the supporters who have been, and I'll repeat it, shortchanged for a year.
You speak about the strength of the division, but it looks like it's something that excites you to be involved in that.
I'm just excited to be back at Rotherham United. I think since the day I walked in, I've had a smile on my face. And let me be absolutely clear, I left a fantastic man in Phil Wallace and a fantastic Director of Football Ian Hunt, and a brilliant supporters, great football club. And I never hid it. There would be 2 football teams that would have brought me out of Stevens. Only 2 in the whole world. One won the title in Scotland last night, Glasgow Celtic. Congratulations to Brendan and the gang. And I've already sent my private messages. And Rotherham United. And Rotherham United, in today's market, should not be in League One of English football. It is a championship club. So you are where you are in football for a reason. And the reason is our results over the past 12 months were not good enough. We now need to make sure that over the next 12 months they're good enough to make us and take us to a level where this football club should be, which is a minimum of the championship.
And finally, when you first returned here in your interviews, when you first came back, you mentioned that you want your teams to be exciting, you want your teams to score goals, so it's a great place to start having the League One Golden Boot winner from 2 of the last 3 seasons.
Yeah, and he would, in my opinion, if he'd have played all season, he'd have been Golden Boot winner again, wouldn't he? You know, I think his goal to game ratio for the games he started to the goals he got this season, well, I've actually seen him score more goals than the previous 2 seasons, if you worked out on an average. So from that point of view, it's commendable. It's brilliant we just got him in, especially our first signing. We bring in someone that everyone in League One wanted. Everyone. He's at Rotherham United, and he won't be the only one. It has a lot of options, but ends up at the New York Stadium. What a place to come. I've just driven up today, and the supporters going around and they're buying shirts and season tickets, and there's a real buzz about this football club, and it's not before time in our chairman's eyes.
Brilliant. Thank you very much for that.
Thank you.